Welcome back, young wizards. I come to teach you a spell today. A few spells. Protection spells. First, you must understand why. People are dumb. People are incompetent. People are incapable. People are insecure. People are mistaken. People need reminders. And people will often just try to see what they can get away with. And they'll learn what they can get away with because other people will teach them by their actions what they can get away with. And so it's because of that people will often try to encroach upon you, try to tell you what to do, try to take control over you, try to take dominion over you. Sometimes they'll literally try to physically arrest you if they're police, or even if they're not. Sometimes they'll try to hurt you. Sometimes they'll try to scream at you, insult you, cut at you. It's these moments when you are faced with the choice of how to respond. It's your choice what you do. It's their choice what they do. And so when they step at you, when they come across the line into your lane, when they cut you off, you got to slam your brakes on in order to not hit them because they stepped in your way illegally. What do? Do you attack them? No. See, when someone aggresses at you and you react, they may be seeking the reaction you give them. The reason they do it might be to get you to respond how you do. They want to see if they can upset you. They want to see if they can arouse you. It makes them feel powerful. Oh, I can control this person. I can make them feel how I'd like them to feel. That's what they want. Don't give them that. Don't you dare. Unless you want to teach them that you'll give that to them. Are you trying to teach them that they can control you? No. If you don't want to be controlled, I'm going to teach you a few counter spells today to when people aggress against you. Keep in mind that when you cast these spells, if you have a relationship with these people, a history with the people who've been doing this to you, and you change your pattern of behavior, and you try to set up new boundaries where you used to let them step and shit all over your lawn, but now you're trying to stop them, well, they're going to take that as disrespectful or inappropriate because they thought that was their lawn that they could shit on. You've taught them that it's okay to shit there. I'm not saying it's your fault, although you've taught them that it's okay to shit there, intentionally or not. And I'm here to teach you today how to stop doing that. But keep in mind that when you start doing that, when you start putting the fence around the yard, they will get upset. They will become violent. They'll think that you're taking from them. They'll act like you're taking from them what's theirs. Because that's what they've come to think, is that that was their lawn. So keep that in mind, that there will be consequences to the spells you cast. And I encourage you, just as I encourage myself, pray for myself, to be able to handle the situation I'm about to address today. Because I don't speak to you about this in general. I mean, I do, but I have a very personal, very present, current reason to be casting this video. I'm about to go into work, my job, my profession, and I'm going to have to stand up to my manager. My manager was incredibly rude, stepped way across the line, and screamed at me at the top of his lungs. He screamed at me at the top of his lungs, because this man should never ever do that. He's a narcissist, an abusive narcissist. And so, when I don't submit to him completely, he starts to lash out like I should. But I don't submit to tyrants. I don't submit to authoritarians. I don't take no for an answer. And I'm not going to be pushed around. I know it's okay, and I know it's not okay. And it's not okay for him to scream at the top of his lungs at me. It's not okay. That said, how am I going to stop it? First and foremost, I can't react. I can't give him the food he's looking for. I can't let him step on my lawn. What he wants, the food he's looking for, is like if you're feeding a dog, it's common understanding is you reward the dog by giving it the food. Well, if you give the dog the food after it does something, it starts to figure out what it can do in order to get the food. So if it searches the one spot in the back of the house where the dog food is, it can find the food. Well, anyway, I can't feed him. I can't let him shit on my lawn. And the reward that he's looking for is for me to react. That's his food. He needs my reaction. He needs me to tilt. He needs me to say something disrespectful. He needs me to get upset. It's the only way he wins. I cannot give that to him. That is the first method. Stop feeding the dog. Don't let him into the yard. Set the fence and maintain it. Again, they're going to be very upset at you when you do this. When you stop giving in, when you stop responding, when you stop getting emotional, when you stop talking back, when you stop getting excited. I didn't do that. Hold your breath. Save your words. It doesn't matter what you did. They're trying to bait you into conversation. Stay calm. Stay clear. Do a good job in the first place. And when they come after you, just be honest. Be clear. And that's what I did last time I worked with this manager. And he couldn't handle that. I stuck to my pocket. I answered his questions honestly and clearly. I continued to do my job after I was clocked out and told that I was allowed to leave, and he continued to tell me extra things that I had to do. I continued to do my job, regardless of the fact that I was clocked out. And he told me to clean the bathroom and mop it. I started to do it. He couldn't handle that. He needed me to get upset, start yelling at him, cuss back, or tell him I couldn't or I wasn't going to. That's what he needed. That's what he wanted. Because then he can go to my manager and say, I didn't do what he said, yada, yada, yada. Instead, I'm the one who went to the general manager, and I said, listen, this dude screamed at me. Because once I attempted to mop and do what I was told, defend myself and just stay calm, he couldn't handle that. He literally could not handle that. The diseased, psychopathic narcissist started to raise his voice at me. And I've been there before. I've had people raise their voice at me. And I know what to do in that situation. And this coward, by the way, they're usually cowards. He's an absolute coward. He waits till nobody else is around to do this. It's the only time he'll ever do this. He'll only do it when he thinks no one else is looking, so that he can't get in trouble for doing this. That's when he waits to corner you in the basement, in the alley. So he felt like he had me cornered, so that he could tell me what to do and make me stay late and scrub the bathroom for him where he shits 9 times a day because he eats terrible food. Is so filled with toxins that he has to shit all day and spend all day in the bathroom. So of course he wants the bathroom clean. Of course he wants me to spot clean it for him. Anyway, so he started to raise his voice at me. And I know what to do when someone raises their voice at me. You leave. You don't say anything back, you don't yell back, you leave. You are allowed to leave. If someone starts screaming and cursing at you, you can leave. Screaming, yelling, cursing, raising their voice, you can leave. You can absolutely leave. You'd be right to leave, actually. You'd be the most defensible thing you could possibly do is to calmly, relaxedly, gently, just walk away. I went one step further. I cast an additional spell. The first spell is just walking away. You just take your body and walk out of the building, walk into your car, and drive home. Calmly. Safely. That is a spell itself. That's a wordless spell. Only has somatic components. Somatic meaning you move your body in a certain way. Like, ha! That's how people cast spells normally, you know, in movies. This spell, you cast with your feet and you just walk away. The other spell I did cast, at your discretion, this is a potential possibility also. As soon as he raised his voice, because I've been there before. As soon as he raised his voice, I knew what to do. I knew what to say. And the words I chose were, I don't want to be yelled at. And if you say it like that, and you walk away, they're completely powerless. They've lost all their power. And that's what a narcissist hates the most. Which is why psychopathic, abusive narcissist began to yell louder and louder and louder as I walked out of the building, until he was screaming as I walked away a few steps into the parking lot where my car was, and I got into my car, and he opened the door and came out behind the building. He came outside the building to scream at me at the top of his lungs. His head was shaking. It was turning red. It was shaking. Steam was shooting out of his ears. And maybe not. His body was getting big. This is a big dude. This ain't a tiny... Listen, I'm not talking about a 20-year-old. This is a 40-year-old man who just got promoted to an assistant manager position on an absolute power trip. You trying to use his positional power to intimidate me because he doesn't like me, because I represent truth and hard work and being a good person. And that's exactly what he's up against. He is the embodiment of evil, and he has to tear against good and attack it because it makes him look terrible, relatively. He hates me so much. He told me. He said, I don't like you. I don't like you, Richie. He said it right in front of the GM. By the way, if you're in a corporate world, you should never, ever say to an employee when you're their manager that you don't like them. And if your manager's there, he should correct, you know, if both of your managers is there, he should correct that other manager. My general manager didn't, which is what emboldened this assistant manager to scream at me. I closed the door to my car, and to my surprise, I continued to hear the screaming. And to my great surprise, it actually got louder. I didn't think he could scream any louder, but he actually started screaming louder because he knew my door was closed and I could hear him less. So he knew he had to compensate for that by screaming louder into the parking lot, into public. I go into work today in an attempt to protect myself from this tyrant, from this narcissist, from this sick, diseased psychopath, this abuser. Trust me, if he's doing this to me in public, at work, imagine how he treats his kids and his wife and people who don't know better, don't know how to protect themselves. This man's evil. It's not my job to adjust him or correct him. I adjust myself. I correct myself. And as a wizard, that's what you should do. Adjust yourself, adjust your behaviors. Know how you are allowed to be treated, and know when it's time to walk away. Because I'm an all, absolutely 100% correct move. It's a correct move for me to say that I don't want to be yelled at and to walk away calmly. That's my important lesson for today. These are two ways of saying no. I said no is the most powerful spell you can cast in a previous video. And these are two ways of saying no. The most powerful way is walking away. And the other one is a very direct, verbal way. I don't want to be yelled at. I'm not talking about you. I'm not saying you can't yell. I'm saying you shouldn't yell. I'm not doing none of that. I'm saying I don't want to be yelled at. You're allowed to say I want and I don't want. You're allowed to say those things. Okay? I don't want to be yelled at. And you don't deserve to be. But if you start telling people no, be prepared for the consequences. The consequences for me might be that I get fired. I accept these terms.